again with the same familiar faces as usual. From prison to purpose. Yes, this is our topic, and we're going to go in tonight. We're going to show y'all how we went from the pit to the palace. We know that sometimes we may make mistakes in our lives, but it's never too late to change. It's never too late to figure out what your purpose is in life. Yes, we can do it from a jail cell. Yes, we can do it from a recovery house. Yes, we can do it at the bottom of K and A in Philadelphia. You can always change your mind around. You can always change your trajectory in life around. So without further ado, I'm your host, Keenan Hudson with the Reentry Connect podcast. And we're going to just go ahead and open up the floor right now because we already got familiar faces. No introductions are needed. But let's just talk about this prison of purpose. Go ahead. Who wants to go first?
Not everybody at once.
Everybody leave. Hey.
Well, I think I'll start with prison to purpose starts in prison.
Mhm.
So, because that's where we talk about the change starts, that's where this change begins. A lot of times, many of us have gotten tools in prison and we're able to bring those tools and bring them out. But once again, it's a choice to take something bad and change it for a purpose.
Very much so. And I know that when I was incarcerated, I had hopes, dreams, and ambitions of getting out and instituting change. So, like you said, it starts inside. And what better perspective for someone to change things is someone that has been there. You know, and they say that the most experienced person in criminal justice reform is someone who's been touched by it. But when I was inside, I knew I didn't have much uh, much of a way to impact anything, but I started thinking and plotting and planning on when I came out of society, what I would do and what uh, steps I would take to make sure that people could hear not only my voice, but those are the ones we left behind in a positive way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come on, Bea.
I remember we had, what was it, a resource library?
Yeah.
And Sheena's right. You had to be proactive, but there was stuff you could start, even a year before you release, with financial aid to schools. The individual I know that worked there while I was incarcerated, they had just a gamut of information that you could get started and get prepped so that you had you were more ready when you left. But it's definitely a personal desire to do it. They're not going to come to you. I
Yeah.
mean, I honestly think a lot of the girls I remember, it was just going and getting a valid driver's license or, picture ID to start with, so that when you got out, you had that and you could get going. But there was so much more involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to want to do it, make a change, and go forward with it.
Mhm.
I think that people need to remember that, when we go to prison, we often, and we've talked about this before, is that we do have to choose to do different inside. We have to choose to get the programming. We're not made to do those things. We wake up and we choose to sign up for a course or a class or do something that's going to be productive and start making, where we're not just an offender wasting time. We actually have purpose inside the prison. As we've
Right.
discussed before, people inside the prison have built the programs. They're the ones who have initiated programs because they knew the changes we needed inside. And then they brought that outside, and now they're using those tools that they learned there. Education is key, education instead of incarceration, but the education is what's we're bringing out, and now we're trying to educate others that people are redeemable, they can have purpose. It's the people that have came home. Glenn Martin says it's best, those closest to the problem are the greatest to the solution. So that's the
Absolutely.
answer to the solution. So I think that we just got to remember that we didn't just come home and things happen. I advocate, so I had to get involved. I had to find things. I had to find my purpose where I am. Some people come home and they never look at prison again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Others, we come home and we can't forget. We can't
Right.
forget that we have people still there that
Mhm.
need our help to bring them back here for their purpose.
I just want to touch on education. Ashland University, when it came into the penitentiary, because there was a long time in the state of Missouri, I don't know if this was nationwide, it was nationwide, where inmates or people who were incarcerated couldn't get the Pell Grant. So that effectively took a higher education out of the penitentiary. So when that law was changed and Ashland University came to Chillicothe Correctional Center, I don't know, Karen, you were there, weren't you? Or
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
an excitement. People were lined, they wanted that opportunity.
Mhm.
You know, so it doesn't always come to us, but when it does, there's a line of people who are waiting for it, and they want to carpe diem. They want to seize the day because they know the impact that having an education has on your free world life.
Right.
You
And
know,
kind of what we
knowledge is
talked,
power.
what we talked about in another podcast a couple weeks ago was, the prisons offer certain classes, but they're not big enough to encompass everybody that wants to get involved in change. So getting that Pell Grant, getting people financial aid, it was a big deal.
It was.
And one thing I'll say real quick, I'm sorry.
No.
You want to go, Miss Sheena? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask for you guys that were in the other states. Bayal, were you in a different state too, or are you in Missouri?
No, I'm in Pennsylvania.
So for like in our prisons, if you have too much time, though, you cannot take certain courses.
Not at
So I
all.
was going to ask if that happened in yours.
Yes. If you're a lifer, you're not able to participate at best. Early in my bit and midway through my bit, you wasn't able to participate if you was a lifer. They changed that probably in 2012, I think it was. It was 10% of the population, individuals that had a life sentence was able to participate. But on the outside, if you didn't have a life sentence, like myself, I had 25 years, I wasn't able to participate. So it was other things that happened in regards to Pell Grant and different things where I was able to participate. Then when I got short to my sentence, to my minimum, I was able to participate because you had to be 2 years within your minimum.
It was 5 in the state of Missouri. It was 5.
Yeah,
So I was already there 9 before I could do anything. So
Yeah, that's so wrong, though.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I would like to say in regards to from prison to purpose, my purpose was to not only free myself, but to free my brothers and sisters and the youth on the street. So I started a nonprofit organization inside prison. I knew that I didn't know anything other than the street life. So in my conscious mind, when I became a conscious, liberated man, I made the conscious effort to educate myself, to learn more. Because if that's all I knew, then I was going to go home and do the same things. So I had to learn more. I had to broaden my horizons. I had to expose myself to things that was uncomfortable for me because I had a purpose. So I couldn't keep holding on to these core issues that led me to face the death penalty. I couldn't hold on to these core issues that led me to victimize my family members, which is my brothers and sisters. We're all brothers and sisters in this fight for life. So I understood that, like I said before, so many people heard my story about when I thought they was killing me or I thought they was trying to kill me, but it was only me locked inside that solitary confinement cell. So I had to think my way out of these things and move past. So my purpose is to help as many lives as I can and free as many of our brothers and sisters that I can.
Powerful, powerful. And I wanted to touch on real fast is backpedaling, not to get off the educational part or anything, but when you're talking about purpose, most individuals don't even know themselves, let alone their purpose in life. So sometimes it takes a little time for a person to jot down the things that they're good at, jot down the things that they're passionate about, and to understand how to attack or achieve the necessary goals or the steps to get to that purpose. So I mentioned in a different podcast that one time I asked one of my top teachers, like, how do you know what you want to be when you grow up? That's just not an easy question, especially when you've been through a lot of heartache and pain. Some people have been brought up with silver spoons in their mouths. Some haven't had spoons at all. So my thing is to have that clear mind of, okay, I'm in this situation. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to build myself up and know that I'm going to do something once I return to society. Sometimes it's not easy for every individual. So the most I like to tell people is always seek a mentor. Seek somebody that'll pour into you. Seek somebody that you may want to imitate. You know, there's plenty of people that I may see. I might say, hey, wow, that person is very articulate. Machine is very articulate. Miss Karen's very articulate. Bayak's very articulate. Miss Sarita, very articulate. But there may be some things I can learn from you guys as a whole. We have to put pride to the side. We have to know that, look, humbling ourselves, asking for that help, even if you can't read or write. Look for a tutor. Even if you don't know how to write a business plan, look for somebody that used to work in business. But again, developing that purpose, it comes over time. It comes with, again, self-developing over time, growing, snatching, learning from different individuals, different books, broadening your horizon is a huge key to finding your purpose, especially after prison.
And purpose is seasonal too. Sometimes you might have a purpose for a season, and then you realize I have another season to do a different purpose. So don't always get stuck to stop growing, but allow yourself, like you said, to always find a different mentor, or because sometimes things are seasonal, and your purpose might be that you're out walking the Capitol every day, and the next time you're in law school. Your purpose can change, or you're supposed to be a preacher, or you're supposed to be a teacher. It can be seasonal.
That's it. Because I know my mind used to change all the time. Like if you see some of these certificates behind me, 1 minute I wanted to be culinary arts, which I graduated, got my NOCTI state certification. Next minute I wanted to be the best Microsoft Office person there was, learning Excel, PowerPoint, Word, everything. And the next thing you know, I'm trying to be the best plumber in the world. The next thing you know, I say, no, I want to do fitness. So the mind changes a lot, especially when you're younger. And when you grow older, you grasp a lot of the experience in which you could see yourself dwindling into. Like if you would have asked me, oh, would you be doing a lot of reentry when you came home? If you'd have asked me, I'd say no. Because I really didn't even know what life was about before I even went in. Like I was a kid, I was a baby, I was barely 15 years old. So again, when you're not exposed or experienced to certain things, you got to have time to live. I couldn't just come straight home and just jump right into reentry. Oh, I want to start helping. Yeah, you could start helping people, but at the same time, I still had to work. My first 4 years home, I had to work, home, sleep constantly. I tell people that all the time before you venture into entrepreneurship, that just don't come. And then I started saying, okay, well, maybe I can start making some motivational videos. Maybe I can start encouraging people and see where that goes. And if that doesn't work, I may try something else.
Well, I just want to talk about like what you were just talking or saying, being intentional about it, and I want to touch on Bea. When you made those decisions within yourself that you were going to be who you are today, or you were going to work towards it, you have to be intentional with that. Like looking for a mentor, you have to be intentional about the people that you have around you. And I told my son about the circle of excellence. Like you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So who are you what are you doing? Who are you around? So when I wanted to find that purpose, when I came home, I got into a church. I stayed in that church. Those people are my friends. I can talk to them about anything. I got close to the family that I was missing, and luckily they've been out here doing the right thing. I was only knucklehead. So I kept my family, I kept my church, I put people and I put myself in situations too. I knew where everybody who was moving and grooving and trying to start businesses, I knew where they were. So I went and put myself there. And I even thought in my mind, like, they talk a lot about imposter syndrome. People coming out of prison, it doesn't get any more realistic in what we're feeling than imposter syndrome. Because you're like, oh my God, everybody knows I don't belong here. I don't belong here. And I finally just decided within my own mind, myself, that if I don't walk in that room like I own it, then I never
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Well, and that comes with the imposter syndrome. You got to remember that, all them people with the PhDs and the master degrees in criminal justice, unless they walked it, they don't know it. They might know the political part of it. They may know certain things, but at the end of the day, you're the expert witness. You did the time. That makes you an expert in that area.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of times we get out and we feel like we can't jam. You work in a law office. I'm all over the city of Columbia, intermingling with people who would never know of that experience in my life just because of who they see. So when they do know, let that be a testimony to our purpose, to our success. But I'm never going to hold my head in shame for my crime that I committed 15 years ago. And they don't know my circumstance. They don't know my story. They don't know my life. No. I deserve to be in the same room as anyone else.
And I've seen, it's crazy you say that, and I know Machina works in the law office too. And there's plenty of people that I know that came home from prison, spending time on death row, or was lifers, that being as though a lot of these law officials, these lawyers, they again have the theoretical knowledge, but not the experience. They wind up snatching them up really fast and putting them in their law firm because of the knowledge and the experience that they had. Knowledge and experience, it coincides. But me personally, I think experience usually outweighs a lot of that knowledge. We may know the theory again, the book work, but when it comes to experience, hey, this is what happens when this goes on. It's a big difference. But bringing them together is a big power force.
Absolutely. In the law firm, our criminal clients, when I say, I've been there, so when the judge tells you 10 years, you might do 6 months on this D felony. So calm down. It's going to be okay. But I mean, I'm able to talk to them also almost doing a consulting, like, hey, this is what you're about to face. But when you get there, this is what you need to do, because we all talk about reentry and coming home, but we also need to understand that if we do make poor choices and end up there, it's not too late to make better choices when you get there and start doing something as soon as you get there. So I think that, your purpose can even start from the day you get sentenced. Your purpose is like, okay, you know what? I haven't been able to have anger management or do a domestic class or AA and NA. I haven't been away from people so I could focus on myself because I have children and I have a family. And so, and prison's awful, don't get me wrong. But if you take it and you're like, you know what, I'm going to find my purpose in life. I'm going to use this time to educate myself. I'm going to use this time to figure out who I am, what I want in my life. So when I get back home, I can be the best version of myself for my family, my community, and for those around me.
That's not the place where you want to go to find yourself. But you have to find yourself.
Yeah, it's not.
Everywhere you turn, there you are. Okay, and
but I will say this though about that, Miss Sharita. In prison, we do have a lot of time on our hands. So we got time to think. We got time to read. We got time to write. We got time to have fun, go to the yard, talk trash, whatever the case may be. Out here in the world, you drive down the street, you can catch a flat tire. You be late for work. They're not trying to hear that. You're either getting points or you're getting fired. Or hey, the PO may tell you, hey, we need you at the office at a certain time. Your alarm clock doesn't go off.
Oh no.
Oh my God, it wasn't count time, so we can't blame it on nobody but ourselves. So we have to hold our own selves accountable, with changing and figuring out what purpose is. But it's a responsibility. The responsibility relies within us individually. Not, what this person do? Well, this person didn't do that. Shifting the blame on individuals, which is not the way to go. Because most time people do that when they do have mistakes or they do come up short with doing something. They want to blame and shift the blame on people. It's not how it goes. We have to man up or woman up and be responsible and accountable for ourselves.
And that's the first part of finding purpose.
Yeah. Nobody wants to go to prison to find themselves, but if you do the amount of time that all of us have done, you're going to find you. You're going to find you, and either you're going to like you or you're not going to like you.
Well, and that's
the jump off. What are you going to do with that?
Well, and whether you're in prison or not, some people I've met out here are in deeper prisons than they are ever inside. And sometimes you have to remember that, it starts inside, and you've just got to start saying, I have to take accountability and responsibility for choices I make, whether that's in there, out here, and find my purpose. And my purpose is not living inside a prison within my mind or a physical prison.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned in my travels and learning myself and learning my peers, individuals that was around me, was that so many of us go through identity crisis where we have no individuality. We're constantly following the trend of failure. We want to be accepted by our peers, and we want to be known and respected as this, when in reality, that's not what it is. We're all not cookie cutter people. We have our own individuality. So I was cool with the fact that I became a weirdo inside prison because I went against the trend. I was the abnormal person that used to be that guy. So for me, it's that accountability. And with me learning how deep I impacted my family, and I mean my family as all my brothers and sisters, people out Wilson Park, people from that community, the officers that I assaulted, the way that I impacted. I learned in my, like we talked about, my travels and my education and me signing up, like bro said, all the groups and programs. Once I became eligible, I signed up for them. I signed up for any and every program. So with that being said, I learned about what one is a good person stance, that I can justify my wrongs because I've done them for a right cause. I was trying to protect somebody. I was defending somebody. None of that weighs anything on the scale of right or wrong because I was wrong no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's about actually taking accountability for your character, who you want to be, and doing the things to put yourself in a position to help others. I'm a service provider. I'm a certified peer support specialist. I want to help people. I want to do right by people. So that's many other things that I'm certified in that I took classes or courses for, but it's about my purpose, and my purpose is to make life better for my people.
Nice. Miss Karen, we want to hear from you too.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Hear you. Are you muted? We can't hear you, Miss Karen.
Okay, now you can hear me.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I muted myself and didn't even know it.
Oh, okay.
I was just curious, how long did it take you once you're incarcerated to get focused, or did you go in with that mindset of I'm
No.
going to change?
It was a process for me. 8 years into my sentence, I ran in the bubble and saw the 3 correctional officers and was facing another 20 to 40. I got 2 years in the hole for that. And during that time, I experienced so many different things of heartache and pain and trauma. And that was my greatest teacher. That's what changed me. Me being in that cell, punching that wall till my knuckles bust open, that changed me. It wasn't the time. The time didn't change me. It's what my heart endured. What my heart endured. How my heart was broken into 1,000,001 pieces. Not because I was in jail and I couldn't go home. That was a part of it. But what was a part of it was the pain and trauma that I seen on Another 48 when I was transformed from that episode to 2701 Jackson Street. When I was Witten Terrace, when I was in the crime scene that I created, that changed me. When I seen my people crying in the horrific scene, when I seen that changed me. When my grandmother died and while I was in prison. That changed me. When my father died when I was in prison, that changed me. When the children that I helped raise died or was murdered, that changed me. When one of my best friends was found in an alley 3 days after he was murdered, that changed me. So it was so many different things that changed me. It wasn't the time. It wasn't me. Let me put that out there too. It wasn't me, because as the brother just said on the podcast before, it's like for us, we have to make the conscious decisions to be better people. So that's what changed me.
So I guess, one of the things I find interesting, I mean, this is just a personal opinion, but it seemed like, the individuals that had really, sat down with time are the ones that, really had a lot of time to reflect. And like you said, you see your loved ones at home die, you see from a different set of eyes, really, things that you might have been involved in, but you see it from a different perspective and you realize, how bad it is. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is the individuals, the lengthier sentences that are really sat down have more of a propensity
For
to
change.
get that drive and
Yeah.
change. So, my thing, I've always thought, because I was in the GED program and I helped some of the young women that, get their, I think they call it high school equivalency now.
Yes, yes, yes.
And some smart, I said, like I said before, there was women in prison who were smarter than anybody I had ever even gone to college with. So, I mean, it's really a lost, there's a lot of lost potential warehousing people for the length of time. But, some of the people that are in there for just a year or two, I guess they just really didn't have the time and see a lot of what some of us that had been in there for so long, see, and you just tell yourself, I can't live like this anymore. And I'm definitely not condoning longer prison sentences, because I think that's all BS too. But I always wondered if there's a way that, being at Chillicothe State, I took every class because I just, I was so ashamed of what I'd done. And, and I saw the hurt in my kids' face and everything I had done. I mean, and you sat back and it's so quiet, you're thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. So I took all these classes. I just decided that I needed to just see it from every point of view. I wanted to learn different things. I wanted to be more external. I've always kind of been an introvert. I mean, hell, I was teaching aerobic classes. I'd never in a million years would have thought I would have been on a stage, leading 50 women to do stuff. But the one thing that I just really irked me was every class that I took, I even facilitated some mental health classes. You get no, I don't want to say reward, but there's no acknowledgement from the prison. I went to the parole board twice. First time I went, everything I had done, it's like they went through the list, and the only thing they find that I hadn't done, they wouldn't let me do yet, but they threw that back at me, like, well, you need to do this. And I'm thinking, where's the reward? Where's the acknowledgement that I'm trying to do better? I'm trying to, better myself. I'm trying to better my community in prison and outside. There is none. So for some of the short-term people, when I say short-term, anybody that's really not laid down for any real length of time, there has to be almost some sort of incentive, I guess, or some way of.
Can I jump in there real quick?
Yeah.
I really feel
Well,
like
after you finish this, I gotta elaborate on what she touched on.
Yeah, I'm talking about the mental health, because when we go to prison, I don't know anybody who's on here. When you went to prison, were you in a good headspace? Was it a good time in your life?
Hell no.
Were things going the right way? And then now you go to this cell. You don't get any type of mental health treatment. Your trauma is not addressed. Sheena, you lost your husband, even though he was abusive. He's now gone. Someone that tried to help you, you're both sitting on a life sentence. I killed my abuser. Now I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with the night and the trauma that I went through. Bam, let's go to the cell. Let's wait to get sentenced. Let's go to prison. So even if it wasn't dire straits, it was with us. Maybe I've just, been in a drug crime. Maybe I only got 18 months. If maybe when I hit that ground of that prison yard, someone was going to, here's your mental health treatment or classes. This is how you address your trauma. This is how we're going to work on your job readiness skills. Let's start with an intensive programming instead of, okay, you're assigned to the kitchen. These are count times. This is your room. Go in there and get ready to work your prison job. Do whatever you do during the day, play cards, and we'll see you later when it's time for you to come up for parole or we open the gates. There's no type of people need help, and they don't just need it when it's time to go home. They need it from day one. I'll tell you right now, I don't know too many people that are walking into prison where there weren't all sorts of events and circumstances and just bad situations that led them to where they're at. And now it's lock them up. We'll throw away the key until we can find it again and let you out. No, you've got to have some type of, it doesn't have to be aftercare. It needs to be from the moment you're there, someone is finding out, hey, what has happened to you? And how can we get you to a place for when you reenter society, you'll have a chance. Those are what the short-term people need just as much as the long-term people.
Yeah. They could almost run it like you were going to college to get your undergraduate. You're going to major in economics. Here's the curriculum. You've been had sexual abuse, as a young person to young adult. Here's a curriculum. Here's what we do. You're going to have you analyze, go to these classes. You're going to get support groups. And, if you have a drug addiction, I mean,
unfortunately, prisons are a business, and that doesn't make them money, so they don't care.
And we're working for 8 cents a day. Was that what it was? I don't remember. Yeah.
That doesn't make them money instead warehousing makes them money. That means they have to spend more to stop that. And I think that, I think when you touched on, Karen, as far as like people who sit down a little longer, a lot of those that are sitting down longer too are kids that went to prison or then a very young age. And you find your purpose, but you also age out of that. So there's a lot, Keenan was 15. I was 17. I don't know about you, Bea. How old were you when you went in?
18.
But, 18. So here we are, these three that went as children into an adult prison. And so we hadn't even figured out who we were as we were going to be as adults. And so I know for me, the first 10 years, I was a wild heathen. It's whatever. Let's fight. Let's do, the guards, they ain't going to tell me what to do. So, I was still that rebellion teen. But for me, what changed me was hearing a perspective of a victim. When they brought a victim in and had a conversation with how their lives were ruined by choices us in that classroom had made, those choices had ruined these people's lives and all the things that they went through. That's what changed me. That's what started the change was, hearing a perspective of how I hurt people. Because a lot of our families too, they want to support us when we get arrested. So they don't tell us how much they hurt us. But if I didn't know till way later how hurt I had really hurt my family either.
And that's a good point. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, because sometimes we don't realize that we do hurt people when we go to prison. Like when I was brought up, I wasn't brought up in a bad family. Like we were brought up, especially like during that 80s, 90s era, where families were tight knit. You were brought up with respect, manners. You knew how to present yourself and things of that nature. Now, don't get it twisted. Now, I still ran out on the street, got in trouble being a kid, as any kid would do. But yes, when my mom passed away when I was 13, to cancer, that took a toll on me mentally. So now I started doing bad things, started acting up in school, which eventually landed me, with a bunch of group of friends, a circle of friends that I shouldn't have been hanging around with, which landed me in prison. But mistakes happen. So, of course, I would have to say, like, wow, I did hurt my family by going in. But at the same time, I didn't really know no better because I was a child. But at the same time, I didn't allow it to stay there. So I still pretty much wasn't going through the stage of, hey, I had a drug addiction, or hey, I was so out of control that I need to be incarcerated. So I pretty still had like somewhat of a free mind, but I was still in bondage physically. But I knew that I was better than my circumstance. I knew I was better than the position that I was in. I knew that there was greater things that I wanted to achieve and greater things that I wanted to do with my life. As Miss Sarita had said and Miss Kara said, you had to be intentional about the things you want to do. And like I did the same thing. I attacked every class, every program, anything I was signed up. That's after I got my act straight. Because in the county, of course, you like you said, you'll be a hothead and things like that at times. But when you get your act straight, then you attack everything. It's like they have no choice but to let you go when you see a board. So I'm sorry to take up all the time, but
Yeah, Bea,
All
what
right.
were you
That
gonna
was
say?
great.
I want to touch base on the fact that they give us no pats on the back. They give us no acknowledgments for what we do. First and foremost, when we put ourselves in position to be leaders, that's what all of us are here today, leaders. And we lead by setting example. And when we set example, we set the tone by going against the flow. So many of our brothers and sisters don't know anything other than what they was taught. And it's on us to do so. Now, for me, my blueprint was set by me moving the way that I did. And when I went to see parole, I had many staff members send positive remarks in my parole package. So that was my acknowledgement because they spoke up for me. Secondly, the programs that's ran inside every institution, they are under contract, and these individuals that wrote these programs and produced these programs didn't come from where we come from, wasn't tested what we were tested with, didn't persevere through the things we persevered through and overcame. So it is on us, the individuals that has the knowledge and understanding and the know-how to write a program, to produce it, that's tailored for us, because we know the pitfalls that we succumb to and we know how to get out of them because we got out of them. So that's how we come together collectively and seek redemption, because I'm a redemption seeker. We're all redemption seekers. And I don't know what redemption looks like, but I'm seeking it passionately.
Excellent.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. Very powerful.
Yes. Anybody? Prison to Purpose. There's no comments right now, but we appreciate all the viewers, that's listening in, things like that. But Prison to Purpose, that's a very, profound thing to expound on. Purpose in life. From prison to purpose. Let's get Miss Sarita back up here. Where's Miss Sarita? Oh, here she go. Let's
there she go. There she
go
go.
ahead. Go ahead. Just get a solo. Go ahead. Miss
Oh
Sarita.
man.
We just gonna give her
we're
a
talking
solo.
about purpose. That's what it's all about.
Okay.
For real. That's what it's all about. What you're doing with your thoughts, because what you're thinking is eventually what you're going to do. So if you don't change your thinking, then you're not moving in the right direction. So whatever you like to do, just start putting one foot in front of the other and making it happen. Like nobody else was thinking about reentry when they got out. I was thinking, we're in a women's prison. They need to have a fast track for these women to get on birth control, because that's all you need is to get saddled down with a baby as soon as you get out, and you're not going to be able to succeed. Why aren't we providing transportation for these women to go visit their kids if they're in a different part of the state, or else, helping to facilitate, because that sadness, that grief, that weighed down by grief is what keeps a lot of people going back to prison. They get shame-based, things aren't going well for them, and they wonder why. Maybe they need a little extra support. Am I way off subject here?
No, you're
No.
good. You're good. Everything's good.
Everybody was like,
We're going with
hey,
a
we're
flow.
And you're
just to
cute
let-
doing it too.
Yeah, and just to let y'all know, we get a lot of positive feedback from this podcast, and along with all the other podcasts as well. People on LinkedIn, Instagram, that are on Twitter, Twitch. A lot of them reach out. They say, to encourage us to keep going, keep sharing these stories because people are being inspired.
right.
There's some people that are able to watch but are not able to respond or comment because of the predicament they're in. They may be in a recovery house, may can't have a cell phone and things like that. Like, here go Miss Darlene. She's a great activist in the city as well. And see, she hears, a lot. There's some people that are watching. I'm telling you, some especially in Pennsylvania. I know your viewers watch it as well, but you got people that's in New York, Jersey. I know a couple that was in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, California. So best believe voices are being heard. I know I've spoke to a couple of you, whereas we're going to definitely start having call-ins where
Yeah.
individuals, we want to be a voice for the voiceless. There's
Yeah.
some people that just can't, because you're confined. You're trying to write letters. They're intercepting your letters and not allowing you to mail them out. You're trying to, you fight for your life, get to the judicial system, but then they messing with your law work. So there's certain things that they want to get out. So when we do go live and we get the call-ins, we can have them voice their situation.
Absolutely.
Here on the live. Absolutely.
When I was in, I didn't know, Sarita, my purpose, but I remember telling my people in there, I won't forget you and I will fight for you when I go home. And I had no clue how I would do that. I didn't know about organizations. I didn't know about advocating. I just knew somewhere I was going to be screaming at the top of my lungs, let my people go. I didn't know how I was going to do it or where I was going to do it, but by golly, somebody was going to hear me somewhere. And, I just figured it out. I just kept knocking on doors until somebody opened one. And then when that one door opened, another door opened, and I'm, advocating for me. I do everything on my own time, my own money, all of those things, but I'm still shouting from the rooftops, let my people go. There's great people in prison, smart people, redeemable people, people who have so much to offer out here that we haven't even seen all the purpose that is to come. But if you let our people go, you'll see the world change.
That's right. And
Yeah.
his purpose. Let me speak to, that's right. Let me speak to her purpose. I was inside and I had a long time to go when she left. And it was all through the facility that she was out there talking about us, that she was out there spreading the word about us. And we're like, man, she's in Washington, D.C. And we're like, it was so much hope. It gave us hope in a hopeless place, because I used to say all the time, I'm in prison. I'm not dead. Don't forget about me. So, when I would take this opportunity, I want to say the names. We never say their names out here because no one's talking about Verna Jones. Nobody's talking about Rosemary Jackson. Nobody's talking about Brenda Williams. Nobody's talking about Teresa Cummings. All of these women have been 20 plus, 30 plus years in the penitentiary. Nobody's talking about Kristen Allen. Nobody's talking about Renee Green. These are all the people that Sheena gave hope to, and now I'm trying to too.
That's a blessing. And and a lot of times people will come home and forget where they've been. They don't look back. Oh, I'm out of jail, so hey, forget whoever. I told Bayak the other day, people will forget 20 minutes, right? They forget 20 years and 20 minutes once they get out here. Like, how
I
can
think
you
that's
go
the
through-
short timers that come out. I mean, I've seen that they come out and they forget about and they're right back. They're the ones
Right
I've
back.
seen 4 and 5 times. It's just
Yeah.
she
A lot of
remember
long
one
timers
girl
too.
that got arrested out in the parking lot. She got released and literally got arrested in the parking lot.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, I was like, okay, it's just unfathomable.
But I think it's like Sarita said, if we'd start programming as soon as we got in and made education a number one tool, but also dealing with people's trauma, mitigating circumstances brought us to prison. Mitigating circumstances, Keenan, you said you changed after you lost your mother. I'm sorry for your loss, but you said that changed you and you started going down a different path. But that was trauma at 13 years old. And soon as you walked in that prison as a 15-year-old, that should have been something that should have been number one on their list. Let's start dealing with this trauma that happened to this kid. You know, if I was sexually abused as a child, that'd have been a great trauma. You know what? I probably would, if I would have got counseling throughout my life, I probably wouldn't have got involved in an abusive marriage, therefore defended myself to a place where now I'm in prison. So, you know, I think that if we talk about education, but let's talk about therapy. If they would make prisons a therapy place
Yeah.
instead of a warehousing, and it became therapeutical, let's spend money on getting very top therapists in there that know how to deal with trauma and know how to deal with those type of situations and rewire our minds. Trauma does something to your mind, to your body.
Absolutely.
And so we need to be rewired and, you know, and unfortunately, instead prison ends up traumatizing you more in a lot of different places.
Oh,
Yes.
You know?
And recidivism. What is recidivism? Recidivism is coming back into the carceral system once you've left it. What is the best way to gear somebody to do something worse or to put somebody in a position where they just don't care about anything is to take somebody that's already traumatized and beat them down further. To give them no tools in which to cope with their trauma, to give them no type of hope, ambition, dream, nothing. Just beat them down. Now go home.
So, but the ultimate thing is, right? Does the system really want people to stay out of prison?
No,
That's
it's a money maker. It's all about, it's a business. It's a money maker. It's all of that. And so, you know, there are some prisons that get fined if they don't have a certain amount of people in their prison. So,
Wow.
you know, it's a business. It makes a lot of people money. It keeps all this chaos keep going on. But if we've spent that money on education, rehabilitation for real, not just saying, oh, we gave, you know, this much money and we're living in dilapidated prisons with mold, walls falling in, sinks coming down. That doesn't make you feel human. That doesn't make you feel like you're anybody. That makes you feel like you're a piece of trash that they just thrown away. They don't care about. So, I mean, you know, I think it's, and the people in there they're starving for something. But let's go back before you even get to prison. Let's talk to judges and prosecutors to start looking at people's mitigating circumstances that are getting them there and start dealing with that too.
And Darlene down
Well,
had,
I'm gonna say
had a good comment about
She did.
that, you know, I said Darlene here had a good comment about how prisons are rewarded, you know, with larger budgets when they instill programs that are, you know, supposed to be positive. So I always thought it was comical when Priya was coming in. All it became was a massive house cleaning endeavor. The prison had to look good, you know, everything had to be in its spot. And it was all bullshit. Excuse my French, but it's like, you know, if they would have interviewed some of us inmates, which I don't think they hell no, they weren't going to do that. They just wanted to make sure the poster was up where it needed to be. We need to scrub all the walls. Everything, the prison had to look great. I mean, it was like that with a lot of different stuff. Remember that, Sheena and Sarita? Different people would come and visit, and it was all about the appearance of what was going on there.
And they would actually tell you too, don't interact with them. Right. Don't try and talk to them. You know, we'll cuff you up. You're going to the hole.
Or they'd leave us locked in our housing unit.
Locked down. Yep. That's another thing. So then they can come and walk through and look at you in your fishbowl.
Right.
You know, this isn't some circus show. We're not sideshows. We are human beings. And that's the way we're treated. And everything does get whitewashed when it's time for someone to come in and do a checks and a balances and see what's really going on. That's how it goes, because it is a warehouse. And then, you know, and most of the people that are coming to do those checks and balances, they're already knowing that they're going to, you know, check the box. I'm tired of the box being checked, you know, and if they really want to stop people from reoffending, they really want to, you know, help somebody, then really start addressing the real issues. And the real issues is this. And Ann Precythe, who is the former director, said, if you've been locked up 15 years, or 15 years and you still haven't got it, then you're not going to get it. So why aren't we looking at these people who have been in prison 15 years? Now go ahead and add 15 more to that. There's people that have been there 30. What are they going to do to anyone besides get out and be the most grateful people you've ever met?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we're coming up on this hour now, and it's definitely been a powerful podcast tonight, from prison to purpose. And I know that we can go on for days, but what I want to do is I definitely, like we always do, I would like all of us to go around in a circle and just give that one little motivation, no less than, probably like a 30-second motivational quote or saying to somebody that's listening right now, and that'd be great. Would you like to start off, Bayak? Quick 30 seconds. Ready?
All right. Good. Life is real. Death is upon us. Incarceration is upon us. Too many of our kids is dying in the street. Too many of our brothers and sisters is dying in prison. Gotta change. Gotta stop. Starts with us. Starts with you.
That's right.
Live and love life.
Nice. Okay, Miss Karen, you ready?
Yep.
All right.
As I always say, I'm a visual person, so I agree with Bea in that I think the United States incarcerates more people than all the other countries combined. And we need to start realizing that it's just going to get worse. Our children are more likely to go to prison, irregardless if their parent has gone at this point. The violence is just completely out of control. And it's really, a lot of the change has to come from society. If you're in prison, my advice is to, again, I like to write things down, and it's baby steps and it takes time. I mean, you first get in there, you're so shell shocked, depending on the length of time you're going to be in there and what issues you had going that more than likely got you in there to begin with. I wrote down things I wanted to accomplish, just baby steps. Some of them were lifelong dreams that I haven't even done yet, but just write down some things that you want to do that, it may make you feel better in the short run and long term, and just work on it day by day, just baby steps. It really makes a big difference.
Nice. Miss Sheena, you ready?
So I think you put me on the screen.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you put me on the big screen. I was just sitting here in my mind thinking about between Keenan, Karen, Sheena, Bea, and myself, that's over 75 years. That's over 75 years that good people, all five of us, weren't able to make an impact, weren't able to have a voice. So as you look in our faces and you see, we're out here trying to, change the world to really make an impact, and our hearts, I know my heart is shining and I can see all of theirs too, but 75 years in total, we were locked behind a wall.
Oh, powerful.
Almost a century.
Miss Sheena.
I just want anybody to know that it's never too late to be who you're meant to be. And if you don't know who that is yet, it's okay. It'll come along. Just keep doing what you love, whether that's advocating, whether that's whatever it is that you love. Just know that you're worth it. And as I said earlier, sometimes purpose change, but never be afraid to shout from the rooftops what you believe in. And I know we believe in change. We believe in changed people, and just remember that to never give up hope. If you're incarcerated by chance watching this, we are out here. We are fighting. We have not forgot you, and you are important to us.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And yes, it is your host, Keenan Hudson, once again with the Reissue Connect podcast from Prison to Purpose. Yes, this was a powerful one. Please share it, like it, subscribe, get with everybody. People, you know how to contact us. You can always run the video back. You can always inbox us. Everything is going on. We're giving out information, inspiration, knowledge to those who want to be informed, those who want to be built up, those who want to go somewhere in life. It's never too late to change. Know that we went from prison to purpose. If we did it, you could do it as well. Again, it's your host, Keenan Hudson, So again, until next time, we'll see everybody. Shout out to all the listeners. Everybody's been viewing. Miss Darlene, Jay Patton. Yeah, we appreciate y'all. Yes, thank y'all so much.
Bye,
We'll
guys.
see y'all next time. All right. Until next time, peace.